Welcome. This is Astrology Insight Now, a weekly forecast program with astrology and other ways to help you make the most of your week and to heighten confidence for daily life. It's run by Pamela Cuccinell, that's me, the astrologer, and I invite you to find out more about my work at insightoasis.com. I look forward to your joining us every week. Please share with your friends, and here we go. Talking about April 20th, 2026. We are in the waxing moon cycle, which means we are gathering energy, moving with some momentum, and a lot can be coalescing and coming together. For those of you who listen regularly, you know I was very excited about the new moon that sparked last week in the sign of Aries, because it really is pulling a lot of thrust for us to do things, accomplish things, and make things happen, especially things that we've been brewing for a while, contemplating, ready to launch. So we are still in the launching cycle, or the gathering momentum cycle, or the working on things already in motion. The thing to be aware of on Monday, the 20th, and the times they gave her Eastern time, so you want to adjust depending on where you are hearing this on the planet, is that the moon is in the sign of Gemini until 1:17 a.m. Eastern time. And then it goes void of course, and it's void of course all day. So to explain what that means is when the moon's void of course, it's not making any geometric aspects to any other planet before it changes sign. And therefore, there's not a lot of emotional glue to carry through on whatever people might excitedly talk about or agree they're going to do. Whether you're having, let's say, a blind date that may not have the sizzle that you're expecting, or give you something that you're not expecting. And the overall feeling is that not necessarily that it's meh, not necessarily that it's meh, nobody cares, but that actually, especially with the moon in Gemini, it can be very stimulating, lots of conversation, back and forth, things, ideas popping up. But the real question is, what sticks? Does anything actually stick? And it can, especially if, let's say, as that moon travels, it's making some configuration to your natal horoscope or the other person or the people involved in whatever's happening. But in general, it's better to work in things already in motion, sort of plan out strategy for what you might do next, clean up your desk, or get ready for the next big thrust. The other things to keep in mind on this day is that there's two configurations in the sky. Early morning, there's a configuration where if you looked in the sky, Mercury would be in alignment with Saturn from our perspective here on Earth. That's in the morning. So it's very, very key to kind of have your day planned, figure out what you're doing. With that, you can kind of move with that energy somewhat, as long as you don't get tongue-tied or stuck, which can be another way that it can play out. Later in the day, that Mercury has booked along and it's in alignment with Mars. And so with that going on, it can be a lot of things that are said quickly without much thought. And with the void of course moon, it's really best, ideally, just to let things simmer a while, because you're not 100% sure where you don't have all the information and people may not be as strong on the follow through as is necessary with whatever's being discussed. Overall, moon void, of course, in the sign of Gemini all day can be a fun day for play, for engaging with little guys, children, for having a childlike curiosity, for exploring or researching a lot of thoughts. Uh, Overall, though, with all the ideas, thoughts, information, conversations that may well be popping, you want to wait until things fall to earth to get a sense of, okay, what has a good enough foundation to really move with. The next day, Tuesday, the moon enters the sign of Cancer, but not until 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So the morning may have this kind of high movement energy, lots of online conversation, texts, etc., as did the day before. But when you really want to settle in to what you're focused on and making happen, that's when the moon moves into Cancer. And this day overall can have kind of a mixed signal thing, a little confusion perhaps, not having a sense of really knowing what direction you're going. I look at Moon and Cancer these couple of days as being tremendously creative. It's like we're cooking the sauce. We're tasting and making decisions and deciding, okay, maybe it needs to sit a while. You don't want to move blindly. That is super important. Clarity gets stronger the next day on Wednesday, the 22nd. But today is a great day for exploring ideas, for experimentation, as long as we don't get too attached to the outcome. That's what allows us to float and kind of drift into what does that look like? It's as though maybe you're setting up a camera shot and everything's a little out of focus and you're trying to figure out what's the best vantage point or way to see it. And you don't want to snap the picture until you get the clarity of mind. So it's a great day for feeling things out. That's a good term. For reading the room, testing how things land, if you're having different discussions or trying to tease out or understand where somebody's at, or as I said, in a design creative activity, it might be, how does this look if I put some blue here, or if I consider that option? And it can be anything hypothetical that you're exploring and figuring out. But it's a good day for that kind of brewing. And then on the next day, the 22nd, once we get into especially 9:30 a.m. and beyond, super, super dead for taking advantage of opportunity, gaining insight, inspiration, things that come out of the blue that here's the way I see it. If there was a lot of research or kind of bumping around trying to figure things out earlier in the week, this is the day when things really coalesce and come together. And it's like that comes through, or this connection's coming in. You're finding the way that the dots connect in almost inspired way. And it can be really, really beneficial whether you're using it for the work you do or basically having things come together in relationships where relationships at times, I mean, it always depends on the relationship, certainly, but relationships at time can feel like even people we love are at opposing forces and we're not quite understanding. How come I keep saying this and it's not gelling or coming together or landing? And on a day like Wednesday, we can find that key that fits the lock of understanding, and it's, ooh, okay, doors are opening, insight is coming in, and it's really, really exciting, I think. I mean, I think it's a tremendous day for disparate people or uh, opposing forces to kind of come together and see common ground and really see it. It's not like a temporary blip. It's, wow, I never really considered it that way or understood it with this kind of clarity. And that feeds in to Thursday. The moon doesn't go void of course until 3:28 p.m. So basically late morning on Wednesday, mid-afternoon on Thursday, really, really strong days for following through with something that you feel you want to convey, whether it's producing something, creating a product, connecting in ways technologically or in communication that's much more heart-centered. Oftentimes, what I was having a conversation with my daughter about back and forth, bump up bump texting with someone, and her feeling a little like, it's a little fuzzy, I'm not quite sure. And of course, Mama says, do you people talk on the phone? Do you have conversations? And it's not, believe me, it's not a judgment. It's just, I personally, at my age and digital aptitude, which is pretty good for an older person, but I'm not a great texter. She will tell you I'm not a great texter. And part of it is for someone like me, it's the nuance in a person's voice, a pause, a word that's used without too much consideration because it's conversation. I get a lot out of talking and listening. Listening is very, very valuable to me in my work and also with people I know and love, and even the people I don't really love that much. It's just the verbal connections and body language things are very, very valuable to me. And texting is just not my medium. I do it, but I don't consider myself very intelligent at it. So I bring this up because when I look at the moon in Cancer and how it's moving through the sky on these days and finalizing its journey with a sextile to Uranus, and we've all done this learning curve with Uranus and Taurus since 2008, which hasn't been a very easy ride because Uranus, god of change, sky god. Think about it. if we don't pay attention to what's going on in the sky, the huge body, gravitational pull, air, uh, deliverer of weather, then we can get surprised, startled. And even if meteorologists and we're tracking all that, we can still get something happen that feels like a disruption or out of the blue and unexpected. And that's Uranus. And Uranus is at its last paces in the sign of Taurus before it goes into Gemini the end of the month for another long track of time. So these last lessons that we're getting as the moon connects with Uranus and Taurus is, okay, if the moon in Cancer, among other things, is symbolic of, it's a water sign, it's cardinal. The sign of Cancer, especially with the moon, is very much, it's goddess energy. It's connected to where we all came from, the great ocean. And so making the sky dance with Uranus and Taurus representing Earth, Gaia, uh, terra firma. Well, that is so rich. The loam, the fertility of that kind of energy coming together, and it's electric. It's it gives birth. It's a really phenomenal, well, it's a gift, these this period of time for those of us who open our hearts and are willing to step in to that catalyst of change. And it's a very concrete catalyst of change because it's Taurus, it's an earth sign. It is the most intractable of the earth signs. It's fixed. And our earth is changing. How we do so many things in earth commerce, in our dealings with other human beings, societal mores, all this is going through upheavals, whereas there is this ferocity of trying to keep things as they were. So the moon in Cancer is basically embracing this Uranus and Taurus energy and saying, let's dance with this. And to me, when I think about it in a symbolic capacity, one of the fears that very traditional ways of thinking have is, if we allow people to live in ways different from the old days, what's going to happen to the family? Women are going to not want to have children, or not want to maintain homes in the old way. Well, it doesn't mean that families, children, continuity, and love isn't going to continue. It just means it's evolving and looking in ways that we are best served by being open to possibilities. So I think these days are going to be very enlightening and stimulating, but they may also confront some confusion from people who want to keep things as they were. On the other hand, there can be like quiet, not so quiet disruptions at a family dinner table and declarations in the very intimate ways, but it can also be allowing creative birth and growth and new expectations. So very, very rich midweek. Once the moon enters Leo at 3:41 p.m. on Thursday, it went void, of course, at 3:28 p.m. Then we're in this movement that is going towards a continuation of creative conversations. It's fire, it tenacious, it wants to stay with the ideas. So if you have hatched something or seen something start to bubble up that's new and exciting, these days are days when a lot of the spark and initiation and ideas that sort of feed off one another can really take fire. And so it can be a wonderfully exciting couple of days. Friday looks super, super fun and creative and stimulating. The moon goes void, of course, at 6:21 p.m. And so I would say this is a great evening for going out dancing, getting a little glammed up, whatever it is you like to do, to have playful fun, romance, do things that are culturally invigorating, play in ways that give you that joy of being alive and connected to that excitement of new discoveries. Saturday, the 25th, the moon enters Virgo, but not until 9:04 p.m. So we basically have that void of course moon from early evening Friday through 9:04 p.m. on Saturday. This is a weekend to play, in my opinion. The piece I will mention is there's a picture in the sky, high noon, midday, between Sun and Pluto. Very, very dynamic, powerful configuration. It's a square. So I would avoid any headbutting around that point in time, power struggles. It's you may, if you feel a bubbling up of force and power, utilize it in a way that is constructive. Push through something that you've been working on. Um, Take that momentum to go up the mountain, but do it in a way with your eyes open. Avoid hubris. Avoid a sense of, I'm going to tackle this at all costs. Because when you think about it, the sun, which is, well, the sun is really everything insofar as what feeds the earth. I mean, sometimes, obviously, it's too much at times, but it is expression, it is dynamic. Pluto is the powerful forces that can undermine us if we're not being conscious of what is rising up in us. So we really want to be conscious of, especially if we feel there's something I must say, this is something I must accomplish, I don't care. Analyze that, see where it's coming from, understand it. Because when we understand it, we can deliver our power in ways that is the correct expression of what it is we want to deliver and get across. If we're not conscious, then we can tend to bludgeon, do things that kind of blow up or are not as we intended, because The deliberation was so powerful, we weren't paying attention to the whole picture. You have to pay attention to the whole picture. 9:04 p.m., Moon enters the sign of Virgo on Saturday, the 25th. And I mean, this evening I think is really ideal for just self-care, um, doing things that kind of calm you down, just whatever it is you like to do, knit, make soup, cuddle up with your favorite creature, whether it's your your significant other or your pet or just a book. Do things that are just healing and good for yourself. The next day can be very, very productive. That moon in Virgo wants results. So exercise, therapeutic activities, fix the door that makes the squeak, do things that give you a sense of crossing off the list. And you can, anything you put in to self-care, health, well-being, is going to come back exponentially. Really, really good day to invest in your well-being and the well-being of those around you. You have been listening to Astrology Insight Now. Please share with your friends, and if you'd like to make a donation, you can do so at astrologyinsightnow.com. Have a stellar week, and we hope to see you next time.